So this is our in-house clash detection tool. Um, it it is a plugin for Navisworks that kind of takes the place of the built-in clash detection. With this, we custom define exclusions that we don't want to report, and we keep track of uh, clashes that are approved and checked by different users. So first thing you do is you select your discipline and then an area model to clash against everything else. So each area model has a specific designer that is assigned to it, and that's their responsibility, so you can check each drawing one by one. So in this case, we'll check this drawing. We're going to hit find clashes, and it'll load up all the clashes that it finds, and it will sort them by group. So a group is like a collection of clashes that are have items in common. So if I want to look at this group here, I can just highlight those, right click, view group clashes, and that will zoom into those and change the color and transparency to make that clear to the user what exactly is clashed. So in this case, this is a blockout box for a steel connection, and we've got pipe running through it. So each one of these clashes, for it to be resolved, has to be approved by the designer. So he'll check that box there. He'll give the reason why. Just going to throw in test here, and it'll automatically put their username in and the note that they typed in. Since this is clashing with a steel drawing, it'll also be required to be approved by the structural designer. And once once they're checked off as approved by both designers and the changes are saved here, all approvals show up here. So that'll show my name and the structural designer's name as well, and then it will be shown as an approved clash. At that point, it can be checked. So there are certain permissions that allow for approval, other permissions that show as checked, so you can assign those to different users. So after it's approved by both designers, a checker will come in and have to check that, and all this is recorded and reportable through a spreadsheet. So there's some kind of shortcuts to find stuff. So if you double click an item and you want to see the clash, it'll zoom in there. If you double click, you've got some tools here to show different visibility styles, so you can kind of see through items if you want to with wireframe. You can right click a row here, and you can use the approval, unapprove here. If it's been approved, then you can mark as checked here. You can select individual items, and you can see everything is color coded. The red side over here is the red item, the green side is the green item. Let's see. You can edit permissions for approval and check here. Of course, that's locked down to certain users as well. You can isolate clashes if you want to, if you don't want to see it in the context of the drawing. So, oops, there's that clash isolated. You can reset appearances up here, which will bring all your standard colors back. There are hot buttons here, so if I wanted to see a group clash, and I can just check this one box here, right click and hit G for view group clashes, and that'll show the clashing context with the color coding. There are built-in exclusions, so there are certain things that we don't want to report. Those are set up in the plugin code. If you want to see those for any reason, you can make sure that that box is checked here for show exclusions, and it will show any items that are excluded from the clash. So in this case, the reason is item 1 equals item 2. So what that means is, let's zoom into that. There is an item in the drawing that has internal clashes. So in this case, it's a shower, and there are items inside this item that clash with each other. We choose to exclude those because, like blocks and certain things, that we don't necessarily have everything kind of union together or whatever that clash with each other. We don't really care to see any clashes within those items. There are some other items that we choose not to report on clash. So in this case, it's the same drawing, same line number, and nipple versus OLED. And what that means is nipples typically get inserted into OLEDs, and there is a clash right here because that insertion distance hasn't been set correctly, and that's a solid there. So you can see that here, that the OLED inserts into that, or the nipple inserts into that OLED there. So we don't really want to see any clashes on that stuff, so we exclude those. So typically this will be turned off, so you'd never even see those. It's really for troubleshooting stuff. If you change your context here, it'll ask you if you've got stuff that, and if you want to save it. So in this case, I had approved a clash, but I don't really want to save that here, so I'm going to hit no, and then I'm going to reload my clashes, and then I turned exclusions off here so that column won't show up at this time. So this is typically how the user would interact with it, and then one by one they'll go through, approve these clashes or resolve them. Once a clash is resolved, the way the clashes are stored is by the drawing handle and the drawing name. So if something is resolved, in other words, the item is moved, or it's deleted, or whatever, that clash goes away. Any approvals that have been set to it disappear. Basically, all records of that clash go away once the clash is resolved, and that's pretty much it. So that's the internal tool that we use with the Navisworks API. It's a plugin that's loaded up here.